you?
Hey, great. Thanks for joining us today. We're doing another 52 Comms Mixup interview on the Just In Case You Were Wondering blog. So you know the drill, but it's 4 questions, 2 about work and professional life, 1 about something kind of off topic, and 1 about a cause or passion. So let's jump right in and get started.
Okay.
So, Anna, I got my little question cheat sheet over here. So, Anna, I think of you as somebody who really understands B2B marketing, and I know that's kind of what you work in every day. I still hear people saying digital social media have a lesser role with B2B than B2C. So, how would you respond to that point of view, and how do you guys use digital at your company, which is 1024 Web Solutions? So.
It really, I always say this to everybody, and it depends, but
Right.
I know that at 1024, our clients are using, we're primarily a web shop, e-commerce, and custom development applications, but our primary market are B2B companies, and they're usually mid-size in manufacturing, financial services, technology, and they're using their website as their primary, lead generation engine. So they are very open and very aggressive with digital. I know there's a report that came out that I'll actually send you the link to called the 2011. Do you know that one? The Google report?
Okay, no, send it. Yeah, we'll include it in the post. So that sounds great.
Yeah. It's a 2011 B2B marketing outlook that Google did. And digital is absolutely one of the top investments with B2B companies. They're still also investing in the traditional. Trade shows are still big. Print is still big. None of that is dead. So
Right.
we can exclude all those blog posts. But I think nothing is dead. But I think that the B2B companies, and as I said, the ones that we work with, are very much interested in digital technologies. They are using email marketing very heavily. They're using, social media channels. Primarily, it's been Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook.
Right.
We see more Twitter and LinkedIn, and then I think Facebook is more of a overwhelming strategy for some of them. So it's on their list. And of course, what B2B companies are very aggressive in, and very much so, are search. Companies finding them. Search engine optimization, search engine marketing, huge. And of course, there's, the online content development, which is blogging and, valuable content to their prospects and customers. So they are, the companies that do say, oh, we don't see it as value yet, they may be the traditional Fortune 500 companies who are still very much investing over half their budgets in, the traditional marketing channels.
Right.
But there's a huge amount of them, probably 46%, that are investing heavily and increasing their budgets. So that report is really handy, and that's where I got a lot of this information from. And we're using it at our company. Keep in mind, it depends on 2 main things. Obviously, it's the audience. Is your audience out there on
Right.
social media?
Absolutely.
It doesn't make sense to be on these networks if your prospects and your customers aren't. So that's why I see a lot of that traditional marketing, the face-to-face at shows and things like that happening. But a huge majority of these prospects are out there, and they're searching. Their primary method of finding companies is search, and they're smart, and they're researching companies, and the websites have to be to par, so they've got to find what they're looking for. And obviously, being a web shop, we always, we can't say that enough, that the usability of a website is huge. And we work with customers to make sure that once the person gets there, that they do something, whether it's download a white
Right.
paper.
Call to action, yeah.
Absolutely. So every page of your website is a opportunity for a call to action. So keep that in mind. You don't want that visitor to leave and not walk away with something. So blogging is also big, but again, it is something that our clients have to really think about because it's a commitment.
Right.
And you have to be consistent. So if they're not, they're very realistic, and they don't want to do it just to do it. So we have clients who it's on hold for a little while, same as social media. But those clients that aren't using those methods are heavily using email, and they're heavily using search.
Yeah.
And it's very competitive. And, we have some clients, some manufacturing clients who are always have their eyes on their competitors and want to make sure that they're ranking, and we're checking their keywords every month, and we're making sure that their content is relevant and valuable, and just, that Google is definitely picking it up and allowing people to find it when they search.
Well, that makes sense too, because you said a minute ago when we were talking that so many of these guys, like you were saying, these businesses want to drive traffic to their website, right? So that Google ranking's just got to be huge, because if they're seeing that as success.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and again, you've got to, and Google changes every week, like the weather. So you have to really be up on what you need to do to make sure that those, that those rules that they change every week apply to you. So, the primary things, of course, are, page tagging and the header, having a keyword in the headers,
right.
And the descriptions, like those are the top three. And then making sure that, again, you're not the old school methods of stuffing 500 instances of that same keyword don't apply anymore. Google, Bing, and Yahoo no longer acknowledge keywords. According to them, I still am a little sketchy on it. I still want to test that and use some bizarre keyword and then search on it and see if they do. I think it just depends on the company. And again, number one is if your audience is out there, you should be out there too, because if not, then they're going to your competitors' sites and getting that information. So you want to definitely consider that.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point about competitors too. But I could definitely see how search would be so huge. And I know that a lot of the social media work I see with B2B too. It's funny you mentioned trade shows and like conferences, because that seems to be what resonates with them when you talk about social. If you can get them to think of it as an online trade show,
right,
something like that. Well, they do that stuff all the time. So
and absolutely, and I think if you can get them to think that these things are not their own individual channels, that you can merge them. So if you're going to a trade show, you can announce it on Twitter or LinkedIn. If there's a promotion or something you're showing at your booth, you can totally leverage these channels to, strengthen the message. So I think when we have hesitant clients that are like, "Oh, we're not ready for social media," well, then talk to them about their traditional media.
Right.
And what they're doing and how they could supplement it. And I think they look at that differently than if you're just like, okay, we're going to get you on social media. They're like, oh my God, like they think of that as a different planet that they have to sort of think about. But if you find a way to have that conversation of integrating it with their existing programs, they're much more open to it. It's worked with us anyway.
Yeah. And so speaking of integration, nice lead in. We're going to talk a little bit about the integrated marketing communications chat that you and Beth Hart do on Wednesday nights. IMC chat is the hashtag, and I think it's really important. We could talk for an hour about integrated marketing communications, but I think it's something a lot of people talk about, but not as many companies are actually doing. So I'd ask, what have you learned from that experience? About what it really takes to make IMC happen, and then. I love how your Twitter bio also says that you're allergic to the status quo, because that's important if you're trying to make IMC happen. Or I think it is. So that's my second question: is do you have to be allergic to the status quo to make IMC happen in corporate America? What do you think?
I think so. I think IMC is what I've learned from IMC chat this year and a half that Beth and I have been conducting it. There's still so much education. It's still a long way to go with companies.
Right. And
I think that companies have gotten really good at knowing, marketing from the 4P perspective, product, place, distribution and promotion. But the integration really focuses on what Beth and I like to call outside-in marketing, which you have your customer in mind. So whatever you're doing internally, you always have to ask yourself, is my customer going to get this? Because they don't care about you not communicating with the department next door. They just want their product. They just want a great experience with you. So there's still that huge battle inside companies of, the verticals. They're not talking to each other. You have your digital, you have your traditional, you have PR, and they're not really communicating because they're so focused on doing well in their area.
Right.
At the end of the day, the customer could care less. They just want a product, at a good price and great service. So companies, I think they're so focused internally on trying to just be successful at these inside-out tactics and strategies that they're not thinking about their customer.
So does education how you fix that, do you think?
I mean, Beth and I laugh because we sort of count how long it will take before someone mentions Zappos.
Right.
There's so few companies that are customer-centric and that are doing it, that are actually putting their customer first, walking in their customer's shoes and all that, that are actually doing it, not just talking about it and all the buzzwords, right? So, the great community that we have at IMC Chat, they're really trying to understand how they can kind of take that philosophy back to their company. But it starts at the top. So if you're upper management, the C-suite, I don't care what anybody says. If your CEO doesn't want to do it, it's not going to be successful. Unless you arrange an army and a revolution between every single employee in the company and just kind of like go up there with pitchforks and say, we're going to be customer-centric. But it's got to start at the top, of course, and it's got to be a initiative that the CEO and upper management kind of trickles down to. And I know why it doesn't happen in most companies, because everybody wants to make a quick buck. They want to satisfy their stakeholders, their shareholders, more importantly, their shareholders, and CEOs have this pressure of fast returns. The thing with integrated marketing is it's not a fast return. It's building a rapport with your customer. It's building quality into your products and services. That takes a while. Right, and you may not see results right up front, right? Yeah. So a lot of companies are getting pressure from their investors saying, I don't care, I need ROI by the end of the quarter. And IMC doesn't work like that. So we still have a very long way to go to kind of just keep talking about it. I think social media has really helped because it's given the customer a voice. So now companies are able to really know how customers feel. And IMC really works off knowing your customers and their behaviors with your products and how they purchase them and how they feel about your company. So social media has been a huge wake-up call. So I think that it's going to evolve, but still very slowly, because companies don't want to change, and especially the Fortune 500. It takes them such a long time to get anything off the ground, let alone a huge culture shift like this.
Yeah.
So we'll keep fighting for it, and we'll keep staying positive, but it is going to be a challenge, absolutely.
Yeah, I think you're right. I would encourage anyone watching this to definitely check out IMC Chat. I've been working with a company, one of our clients, that's really trying to move toward IMC this year, and I know I've talked about it a lot in the past, but to actually go through a process, it can be frustrating, but it's very educational. I mean, you will learn a ton as a company tries to move into that, and as you try to talk to the third parties about, what their best practices are. So
yeah, it's really hard. You have to roll up your sleeves and you have to work your butt off. Right. And sometimes people don't. They like to take the easy way out. And but no, I think in all defensive companies, I think that they mean well. But I think it's just that old-fashioned buy our stuff and trust us on that. And right. I think since the web came along, people are much more educated and they know what. They have all the information they need at their fingertips, and now they have a voice to talk about it. And I really love the newer generations because they're becoming more and more value-based, and they're saying, no, I'm not buying this. What am I getting out of it? So I have to give, the Gen Yers and, a lot of credit for having the guts that maybe us Gen Xers didn't. Right. And saying, you know what, no, we're not doing the status quo, and we are, we want to know what we're getting for our value. So it's a combination of all that.
Yeah. Well, those are all really, really good points. That's a great talk. We could talk about IMC all day, so people definitely check out.
Sorry, that was my daughter. You can cut that out.
Hey there.
Awkward. Okay.
No, it's all good. We welcome family here on 52 Mixup. So. Okay, so your Twitter bio also says that you're a bookworm. So what kind of books do you like to read, and what's the best book you've read lately?
Oh my God, I read so many books, and I have a pile here, and a lot of them are, oh my God, like a lot of them business books mainly. Mm-hmm. Of course, there's integrated marketing books. My favorite, of course, is IMC, The Next Generation, which it's not a new book. It's a book that came out, I think, 2003, but that will help you get started on how integrated marketing works.
Okay.
And the pioneers behind it. So that's like my reference book. I'll go in there like a dictionary and kind of do research. And it's been more business books. Another one that I love, and it's more philosophical, but I'm sure you're familiar with Drucker.
Oh, right. Yeah.
It's a business management philosophy guy, and it's called The Essential Drucker, which is the best of his works. And the man knew about social and psychology years ago, before social media ever even came on the scene. And he also knows the importance of customers and how companies don't exist without them. So I love to refer to that book as well. Social media books. I don't want to. I mean, I've read some, but I don't want to promote anyone.
Who is the IMC book? The first one you showed us. Who's that by?
IMC is a book actually by the person, one of the initial founders of that theory, Don Schultz.
Okay.
SCHULTZ. You could find it on Amazon. Okay. I can send you the link if you like as well. And you know, like I said, that's sort of like Beth and our Bible. You know, that's really where IMC came from, and those guys are the ones that founded it. And you know, it makes a lot of sense. Some of it's not exactly the most exciting read, but it is very it makes a lot of sense. So we always refer to that one. And like I said, I have read some social media books. I really love. I'm like picking him off my shelf. I don't know if you're familiar with Avinash Kashuk. He's the Google Web Analytics guy.
So I just got referred to him. Yeah, I just got referred to him at Blog World. Somebody on the analytics panel said you've got to read. Is that Web Analytics? That's yeah.
This is Web Analytics in Our Days. His initial book.
Yeah.
I have Web Analytics 2.0, which is his most recent, which is on my iPad. Essential. You have to have that. If you're working with Google Analytics and Web Analytics, he's awesome. He's got a great personality in the book. It's funny, but he also gives you excellent information. So he's good. And then last one, I promise.
Okay.
See, I told you I was a bookworm. Over the weekend, Beth referred this book to me. It's called Strengths Finder 2.0.
Okay.
It's by the Gallup guys. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but it's called Strengths Finder 2.0. I'll send you links to these books.
Yeah, dude.
And it's a personal development book because my work is mainly with clients, with clients. So you get to work with different personalities,
right?
As well as your coworkers and just people all around you. So what this does is it kind of helps you get to know yourself, what your strengths and weaknesses are. There's a 30-minute online assessment test that you take, and then you walk away with 5 key characteristics, and then they tell you how to develop that, and then people that compliment you. So that was my soul-searching weekend book.
Those tests are always interesting. Yeah, they always tell you something about yourself.
It's 30 minutes. It's very, very interesting, but you can only take the test if you get the book. The book is not expensive. But again, it's on Amazon,
right.
And you could find that on there as well. So cool. That's this week.
Yeah, thanks for all this week, right? Yeah, thanks for all the recos. Yeah, those are really good. I heard so many people advocate for that Web Analytics book. That I've got to check that out. It's like high on my list.
It is, Justin, and you can also I have Post-its and highlighters, and it's a great reference book. So
yeah, that's what everybody was saying. They're like, if you're doing measurement for a company, you have to read this. So
yes,
and he's got a good blog too. I started checking it out. So
yeah, it's called Occam's Razor.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, it's a great.
I'll include it in the link in the post because his name is hard to spell, but it is a really, really good analytics blog. I just read like his last 5 posts or something. It was really interesting.
Yeah, so, he's got anything from 101 to like the real, comprehensive analysis. It's really good.
Yeah. It is absolutely good stuff. Okay, last question's always reserved for you to tell us about a cause you care about. So what's something you're passionate about? And this can be a charity, but it doesn't have to be. So.
Okay, I love anything to do with children. I have 2 of my own, 5 and 10, and luckily, thank God they're healthy, but any charity around children. I recently was part of, and I know you know Stacy Monk, Epic Change. She did it To Mama with Love, which focused on Mother's Day and sort of celebrating your mom, and kind of taking that materialistic, approach away from it and the gift, and using that money instead for like a good cause. And Stacy is all about helping people in different countries make social change, whether it's schools for children and things like that. So whenever she has those efforts, I definitely contribute and try to help as much as I can. Not enough, but enough that, to give her. I think if everybody does a little, it adds up. That's one of them. The other one
the
is
Epic Change group, right? Is that right? Okay,
yeah.
cool.
She founded Epic Change, and I think there's a co-founder, and his name is Sanjay. I think.
Yeah, you're right. I've met him once before online. You're right. That's
Yeah,
it.
yeah, and it's an amazing cause, and she's very passionate about it, and she's very good with communicating it to people, what's going on and what they're doing with the money and all of that. And I've been impressed by it. So that's one of them. And then the other one is I actually wrote it down, the American Heart Association.
Okay.
And my nephews had, I sponsored them for something called Jump Rope for Heart. And it basically focused on little children with heart deficiencies. So my nephews would jump rope for a specific, sponsor them, and the money goes for, to help that cause.
That's a cool.
And yeah. And then the last one is I'm like the American Cancer Society and Live Strong, because my brother-in-law is a cancer survivor.
Oh, cool.
So that was also near and dear. So those have been the main ones. You know me, Justin. It's like when I go all out, it's like everything.
No, those are good ones. I always think it's cool how those organizations find ways for kids to get involved in that stuff too, like that jump rope thing. I mean, that's such a you hear that and you're like, that's so simple, but it's a really cool way, and I bet they love being able to be a part of something like that.
They had a blast. They understood what it meant and what it stood for, and they had a great time doing it. So, yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks so much for taking the time, Anna. Very, very interesting answers. I now got to go do some book buying and reading, and then I got to go find somebody to sponsor jump roping. No, but those are really good books, and that IMC one actually sounds really interesting too. So everybody check out Anna's chat with Beth on Wednesday nights from 8 to 9 Eastern, right? IMC chat. And we'll include the link to her Twitter account. It's Barcelos, and then to her company's website also in the post. Thanks for the time, Anna.
Thank you. Take care. Bye.